What is going on? I'm zmoT. 2 videos in 1 day. OMG. Let's have a look. It's War Factory Day. It's not Warships Day. It's War Factory Day. Thankfully, the last War Factory was one of the easiest I can ever remember. Let's have a look at this one. Very, very similar layout. This one's going to be a bit tougher than normal because we've got some extra lasers down in here. This layout is typically fairly straightforward, but these extra lasers, at least one of them, probably this one, is going to need to be barded out. Otherwise, looks fairly straightforward-ish. We're going to have to get rid of at least 3 of these rocket launchers, probably all we need to do. Then we're going to get rid of this laser beam. I do not have endless reserves in this account, so we are going to try to do this as easily and simply as possible. Going to waste some diamonds here, rip diamonds, because I need to get rid of those heavies. Why? Now, bit of a bug there. I think, you notice if you select the ability, all of a sudden it just zooms out of the view and you have to scroll back up to check which ability you have. I think that's a visual bug that's new in this update. Let me know either way. Anyways, for those of you who are new, this is an HQ18 account, XP46. We are going to take down War Factory as simply and easily as possible. Now, why we're going to do that? Because there's a whole bunch of useful rewards, especially for low to mid levels, especially that 380,000 iron is very, very useful. What we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to take out these rocket launchers right in here. I'm going to go like so. Everspark underneath the smoke, push the button, and then up into here. And if you're wondering why, now first of all, you don't want to have her pop out of smoke like that. Not recommended, but seems like we've done pretty okay. We're going to get rid of that one rocket launcher, push the button. You'll notice she selected the rocket launcher that's farthest from us, so we're going to flare the one that's closest, and that way we know that she will automatically select the one that she selected before we flared, if that makes any sense. Down go 2 rocket launchers, hopefully looking good based on all of those boom cannons. A good start. We've got the 3 rocket launchers down that we need to get rid of. Next up on our hit list is going to be this laser beam right here. We need to get rid of that, otherwise we're going to have to shock it later on, and the more shocks we can get rid of, the better, especially when it comes to lasers. The biggest feedback I've ever gotten on this video series is that everyone hates lasers. So now we're going to drop our troops over in here. We're going to drop 3 boats. We're going to tap retreat once, and then as soon as we get enough GBE for 1 more artillery, which is coming up very quickly here, we're going to drop that artillery. Then we're going to retreat right there, wait for it to almost land, and then run away, getting a little bit extra GBE without sacrificing more than 1 troop. So extra artillery, definitely worth the sacrifice of that 1 heather. Now, moving right along, what else do we need to get rid of? These rocket launchers are not going to be an issue. This shock launcher is, so we're going to drop Everspark in exactly the same manner, throw her underneath the smoke, and then push the hack button, and then flare that shock launcher back there. That should basically do it. We're probably going to get hit by 3 or 4 lasers, which... Now, I had a tiny gap in my smokes. Do not recommend doing that because we're about to almost have Everspark die. Okay, so she did not quite die. Worked out fairly well. Down goes the shock launcher. Getting much closer to being able to hit the core. Now, the biggest issue right now is those mortars back there are going to do a whole bunch of damage to us if we let them. So we're probably going to want to get rid of those mortars, but that is secondary. First of all, we need to get rid of the lasers, and that will hopefully set us up for a nice little free snipe. What we're going to do next, by the way, if you're not sure what a free snipe is, it basically means your troops can stand there and take down the core with nothing being able to shoot them. Speaking of my War Factory, people have been stealing my thumbnails like crazy. If you notice, in this thumbnail, I have a zooka in a lawn chair. I paid a friend to draw it. It was not inexpensive. It was quite expensive, to be honest, and he did a fantastic job. Drew it by hand and then digitized it, and I love it. But some people like the free rides. They've been stealing my thumbnails. If you see someone stealing my thumbnails, please, please do let me know, because I would like to contact them and let them know that that is not okay. Now that we're done this, we're going to do one more attack, and this might cost us a lot of zookas. Now, this is what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a flash kill. A flash kill means that you get all of your zookas into position, and you do it without losing, without anything knowing that they're there. And you can actually take out a laser without anything shooting you. It's a little bit precarious, it's a little bit dangerous. We're going to sit right in front of this laser. We're going to flare it, and as long as no one steps out of that smoke, we should be able to take down that laser. You see that right there? Now we're going to flare back into here. Now the most important part of a flash kill is the fact, oh no, I did not mean to retreat. That was terrible on my part. Not what I was hoping to do. That just made our core hit much, much more difficult. What I was hoping to do was to use my extra GBE and get rid of these mortars behind the core, because they're pretty low on health, as you can see here, only 27,000 health. What I would suggest is use your GBE, BART those down, barrage and artillery, and then flash kill the laser. Now, why we get rid of that laser is just because if we have a tiny, tiny gap in our smokes, it makes things a little bit easier and you don't lose all of your troops at once. Now we're going to walk back here. We're going to park between this grappler and this mortar and just burn everything that's in sight. These lasers should not reach us as long as we stay right. The machine guns should also not reach us. And now let's just go. Now our first smoke is going to be dropped at the right edge of that factory supply crate, and hopefully that will get all of our troops underneath 2 smokes. We only have 7 boats, a little bit of an advantage there for low-level players, because you only need to get your troops, get 7 boats underneath smoke. Now you can fit 9 boats underneath 2 smokes, but we're not going to try that as we're losing brick right now. Only got 7 boats underneath, so if you have more boats than 7 or you want to keep your hero, I would suggest moving your smokes over just a touch from where I put them. 2 smokes into our final destination. I never did watch any of those movies, by the way. If you've seen them and you recommend them, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll just assume that they're garbage. Now, we're going to have 1 shock on the mortars. And I think that's all we need. As long as those lasers don't point towards us, we should be in good shape. So those mortars are the most damaged defenses in the area. So we should just be able to sit back here. I'm going to move slightly to the right just so that my zookas don't go out hunting those boom cannons off to the right-hand side. We're going to shock these machine guns just so that our zookas don't go too close to them. I don't think they're going to, but we should be in a nice little kill zone here. I mean, that's it. War Factory. 4 attacks. No zookas lost on our first... Oh, sorry, 1 zooka lost, I should say, on our first 3 attacks. 4th attack, pretty easy core hit. The fact that there's no lasers or grapplers down below the core where those machine guns are makes things much, much easier. Anyone should be able to do this. If you're XP37 or higher, it will be difficult. That flash kill at the shore will definitely cost a lot of players, or just ignore it. Just completely ignore that and carry on. Now, the other option is you can try and solo it. I'm going to try that quickly. I'm going to switch accounts here, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, we're back. Warships, War Factory, so many wars going on. Make love, not war. Something, I don't even know. Let's get, we're going to use Shock Knuckles. Why Shock Knuckles, you ask? Why not? I mean, Shock Knuckles can be useful, especially with zookas. They give you a little bit of distance between Bullet and the zookas. I'm just kind of hoping that maybe he'll rush forward and the lasers will not shoot our troops. Don't really know. We'll just try it and see what happens. Now, I'm going to use 3 smokes for the landing. I hate doing this, but I just want to make sure that I get all of our troops into position and we don't lose our hero behind like we did on our last hit. So we should be able to get, oh, perfect. There, speaking of getting our hero into position, not off to a great start. So even though I used 3 smokes, I still somehow managed to lose Mr. Bullet, and the lasers are shooting him, and it is not recommended. Thankfully, the lasers actually shoot over top of your troops, which is actually working to our advantage. Is he still alive, or is he... I don't even know where he went to. Let's go 1-2 smokes over here. Still have a lot of GBE. Not a lot of troops, but we should still maybe be able to take this down, I think. Let's go 1 shock here, 1 shock here. Let's get a shock down here too. Probably not going to get a solo out of this just because I completely screwed this up, but not completely awful. That was very, very ugly, and thankfully, yes, thankfully, let's call it that. We can just try this one more time. Gonna have to spend some diamonds because, again, no endless reserves. I said I was gonna wait for warships to come out. I just was not been home, so that's next on my agenda, is to get some endless reserves happening. Let's get, say, 2 boats of zookas. We'll finish this off with Mr. Bullet, and that should hopefully be enough troops. We shall find out momentarily. Okay, same spot. We're going to walk on that nice angle. I like to throw my flares in the corners strictly because in the corners you know that your troops are going to walk to a well-known spot. Now, I've used those exact flares probably 400,000 times. That's why I like to use them. If you have a different flare location, please do let me know. Always looking for new locations for flares. But I tend to go for the corners just because it makes things slightly more predictable. Now we're going to flare the core, and we're going to shock 1, 2, and 3 maybe, might do it. Let's see, there is exactly what I was hoping to have happen with the shock knuckles. Does help just a tad. Let's get 1 more shock out, and that should do it. I mean, realistically, we're probably going to take this down. It was ugly and not terribly great, and it cost us some diamonds, but kind of a solo-ish effort. Hopefully you enjoyed just trying to show 2 different ways to take it down. Let's have a quick look. I want to have a quick look and see how to take it down if you don't want to use smokey zookas, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy smokey zookas. Completely understand. Lots of ways to take this down. Let's have a look at what it looks like from here. So realistically, if you go to the right-hand side, using rifle and zooka, you should be able to come all the way around to the very back, staying out of range of these rockets, getting these doom cannons down, and then just hugging the back wall. Maybe use Everspark to get rid of some of these rocket launchers, and just keep hugging that right wall and using your extra GBE on this laser right there, and you should be GTG, GG, AFK, RIP, whatever 3-letter acronym you want to use. Hopefully that helps. Anyways, back in action. Thanks again for your patience while I was on vacation. War Factory, 2 different ways. That's it. That's all. As always, I'm zmoT. Thanks for coming in. Peace.